This is the brand new 2020 Roku Ultra, and whether you're upgrading from last year's model or you're getting a Roku Ultra for the first time, we put it through its paces so you know exactly what to expect when you add it to your shopping cart. This is the Streamable's first look. What's up, streamers? It's Jason from the Streamable, and we're gonna bring you everything you need to know about the all-new 2020 Roku Ultra. But before we get going, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we're gonna bring you reviews throughout October from the all-new Google Chromecast to the new Fire TV stick and the all-new Roku Stream Bar. So this is the all-new 2020 Roku Ultra. The first thing you'll notice about the 2020 Roku Ultra is it's slightly more matte and it has slightly more round corners. But most of the changes in this year's model, fortunately, are under the hood. Last year in the 2019 model, they mostly made changes to the remote and some slight speed bumps having to do with software. But the all-new 2020 Roku Ultra comes with a faster quad-core processor, which means it can do a couple things that no other Roku player has ever been able to do before. Most notably, it comes with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos support, which means you'll have better video quality if you have a TV supports it on apps like Disney Plus and Apple TV Plus, Netflix, and others. And Dolby Atmos audio is kind of like 3D audio where the sound kind of moves around you if you have a sound bar and sound system that supports it. But also under the hood, because of the result of the faster processor, Roku says the device is 30% faster when it comes to channel launching and just overall responsiveness to the device. We'll talk about that a little bit later and describe whether that actually is true in our real world tests. But also changing, you'll notice, is gone is a micro SD port, and here is a USB 3 port instead. It works exactly the same like that micro SD port where you can play your personal video and audio on the actual device. It doesn't give you more storage though if you have too many apps for the built-in storage on the actual Roku device. Roku has also improved the Wi-Fi, which has 50% better range, but if you want to hardwire it, it remains the only Roku streaming player with a built-in Ethernet port. So why don't we show you a little bit about the unboxing experience and then we'll put it through its paces. Let's open it up and see what's inside. So the first thing you see is the brand new 2020 Roku Ultra. You'll notice it looks similar but slightly different than years past. It's much more of a matte finish and slightly smoother edges. If you turn to the side, we still have the remote finder that you can tap and we'll play a little sound so you can find a remote. And then still in there is the IR port so you can use your remote from any direction. So let's keep opening up the box. So when we take this out, you'll see the quick start guide and then on top of it, the remote. And you'll see what services now come on the 2020 Roku Ultra's remote. So you'll see Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and Sling, and this is their advanced voice remote. So you'll see there's the headphone jack on the side for private listening. Still there is the volume rockers as well as the mute button, and then two customizable buttons that first joined the Roku Ultra last year, and we'll show you exactly how that works in our review. And then lastly, let's open this little slot. You have the power block, some headphones for private listening mode, additional earbuds, batteries for the remote, and then in addition this year is a high quality HDMI cable. Roku says that they've included this because they didn't want people to have the experience of coming home and not having a way to plug in their device or having to go out and buy one. So as you can see, this is everything that comes with the 2020 Roku Ultra. Now we'll show you quickly how to set it up and how to get going. So once you get the device out of the box, setup is really easy. I think one of the easiest of any streaming player out there. So when you start it up, you'll connect to your Wi-Fi, and then if you already have a Roku account, you just log into your Roku account on your phone. And because you have apps downloaded on other devices, it will download those exact same apps onto your new one as well. But one of the coolest features with Roku is if you're already logged into those apps on other devices, many of them will just automatically log you in, so you don't need to try to thumb your way to all these username and passwords on a remote. So one thing I really appreciated compared to when I was setting up the all-new Chromecast, which took me about 45 minutes from unboxing to really being fully able to use it, it was only about a 10 to 15 minute experience from unboxing to starting to stream, just like I do on my other Roku devices. If you already have a Roku Ultra device, the decision to buy this will really come down to three things. One, do you need Dolby Atmos audio and Dolby Vision video? Two, do you need the improved Wi-Fi, and do you need the built-in Bluetooth, which is on the Roku Ultra for the first time? And three is, how fast really is it? Will you see a noticeable speed improvement from last year's model? So let's start with the first one. When we tried Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos audio, it worked just as well as we've seen on other streaming players that had this. One thing to note though about the Roku Ultra is it's more expensive than other streaming devices that also support this. You can get a Fire Stick 4K or the new Chromecast, which also support Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos, for $50, which is half the price of Roku Ultra. So if that's really all you care about, there are cheaper options out there. But if you want a Roku player, this is the only Roku device that supports it, so it's kind of a no-brainer if you do need those features. In terms of Wi-Fi, we've never really had an issue with Wi-Fi on Roku devices. It's never been a problem whether or not it's had enough range. What we did notice on this device though is even though our closest mesh router point is about 150 feet away, it does come at nearly full signal to the Roku device, so we had no issues really streaming at full performance. I think this will really help in people who want to do it who may not have a mesh router and are trying to use it in areas that they probably didn't have full speed before. The addition of Bluetooth on the Roku Ultra is actually really nice if you want to stream audio to your TV. It's really simple to set up. You just go to settings on your Roku device, and then on your smartphone, like your iPhone, you can just connect it like any other Bluetooth accessory. Then you can open your favorite music app, whether it's Spotify or YouTube Music, and just start playing it. And what's really nice is you can use your Roku remote to actually control the interface on your phone. So you can change songs, you can pause and play, but you can also use the volume rocker on your phone to increase the volume on your TV as well. So if you want to hear that music a little louder, you just need to use your phone. But I think the most important thing for someone wanting to upgrade is how much faster is the 2020 model compared to last year's. The 2019 model was supposed to be faster than the 2018, but most of that change was done in software, and to be honest, we didn't really notice a big change between the 2018 and 2019 model. But our expectations were a lot higher this year because Roku made some actual hardware changes in the 2020 model with a brand new quad-core processor, which should make the experience faster. And I will say the experience moving around the interface does feel snappy. There was no lagging at all when moving around the interface, which sometimes happened in years past. But we really wanted to test how much faster it was to launch channel apps and actually do video playback. And that's where your mileage will vary. Depending on the app and the channel, some kind of performed exactly the same as years past. Like when we launched Sling, it took about that same 6.5 seconds in the 2019 model as it did in the 2020 model. But when we launched Netflix, it took about 3 seconds compared to 3.5 in last year's. So whether or not that's really noticeable to the end user, I don't know. But some apps did feel faster. For instance, Fubo TV this year on the 2020 model took about 8 seconds compared to 11.5 seconds last year. So I think what you'll notice is the more stressed the app is and the more video intensive the interface, the faster you'll see in the 2020 model versus older Roku Ultra devices. So if you do want the fastest, most up-to-date experience, I think you will see it with the Roku Ultra. But I don't think on a lot of apps it will be 100% noticeable. You might see a small bump, but don't expect it to be world-changing where you're going from 10 seconds to 2 seconds. It really is about that 15 to 30% improvement that Roku says in their marketing materials. If you've never had a Roku Ultra before, in addition to it having Ethernet, one of the biggest differences is the remote. So if you've never had a Roku Ultra before, one of the reasons you might want to buy it is because of its remote. One of the best features that I love about it is the private listening mode that's built in the remote. So as you can see here, there's a little headphone jack in the side, and the Roku Ultra comes with these headphones that you can actually plug into the remote, and when you're lying in bed and you don't want to wake up your spouse or you have a baby sleeping in the room, you can listen to it directly through the remote using the headphones, which is a great feature. If you have other Roku devices, it has a similar feature, but you need to use your phone and plug in headphones into your phone. But it's really nice to be able to just pick up the remote off of your nightstand and plug the headphones in and be able to watch right away. The other thing you'll notice is there's 2 customizable buttons on the Roku Ultra remote, and it lets you connect things like apps that might not have dedicated remotes. So if you want to launch YouTube TV or Tubi, you can actually set them up on there. I will say, just like the 2019 model, it's not the best experience. The way you set it up is you add a voice command, and those buttons don't work exactly like the fast launching streaming buttons on there. In fact, when you press it, it asks you if you want to exit the app you're in before it automatically launches the next one. So it's not as seamless as having 2 truly dedicated buttons. That's one thing that I hope in software they improve, where they make it more like truly dedicated buttons that can do more than just launch apps and do other voice commands. So I think the big question is, should you buy it? And I think that really comes down to what streaming devices you already have and what you really need. If you need Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, it's a no-brainer. This is the first Roku streaming player that supports those features, and it's the only one that has it. So it's kind of a no-brainer to upgrade to the 2020 Roku Ultra. But if you already have a 2018 and 2019 Roku Ultra, there aren't that many noticeable changes. Yes, there's Bluetooth, yes, there's USB 3, there's better Wi-Fi, and it is slightly faster, but the speed changes aren't that dramatic. You're not gonna open this up and go like, wow, this is the fastest thing I've ever seen. It's performant, and it's just as performant as years past, but it's not so much faster that it's a no-brainer to upgrade just for speed. If you have a Roku Streaming Stick Plus, I think the 2020 Roku Ultra is really separating itself as the premium player in the Roku line, whether it's because it has Ethernet or USB 3 or Bluetooth or Vision and Atmos, but it's also definitely faster than the Roku Streaming Stick Plus. If you have another streaming player, whether you wanted to get the new Chromecast or the Fire TV stick, or you have an Apple TV, I think this is actually the perfect complement. It's not quite as cheap as the Fire TV stick or the Chromecast, but it has a lot of features that those don't, whether it's Ethernet or the fact it has the built-in remote finder, or you can play your external video and audio. So there are reasons to choose this, even though it's slightly more expensive than those devices. But what you will appreciate is the 2020 Roku Ultra is the best Roku Ultra they've ever made, so you'll be happy with your purchase if you're in the market for one. And that's it. That's everything you need to know about the all-new Roku Ultra. Let us know in the comments below, is there anything we didn't cover that you want to know about the Roku Ultra? And if you like this video, make sure you give us a thumbs up, and if you want more reviews just like these, make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you visit us at thestreamable.com for the latest in streaming news and reviews. As always, for The Streamable, I'm Jason. Have a great week.